Welcome to the Full Mana Podcast, where we dissect, discuss, and probably disagree about everything from the latest game releases to classics that haunt our gaming dreams. Get ready to level up your laughter and power your gaming knowledge with us.
Hey yo!
He wrote that.
I'm sorry, it's terrible. Anyway,
so it is the week of May 3rd, 2024, and that is where we will be with discussion stuff. So I'm Lofter.
Jamie, also go by Keldon. I don't know, just call me whatever.
All right, so whatever. We're also both 40, so dad jokes.
Yeah.
As some of you may or may not be aware, last month, the show that was hosted by Pro Jared called Now in the 90s got canceled because it just wasn't sustaining itself with view counts, getting like 40,000 views, and that's about $200 per episode, paying out 3 people. It just wasn't working. I totally get it. Nobody can replace what he was doing. It was good. However, I do want to kind of at least a little bit pick up the slack. So we are going to start the month out every month with both talking about new games coming up, but also we're going to talk about games that came out 30 years ago today, because that's how he used to do it. So yeah, that's where we're going to start off. The month of May in 1994, we had Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for multiple consoles, which was a side-scroller beam-up, and I actually have memories of that because it was one of the very few games I played at my dad's house. So I played on Sega Genesis.
Yeah, big fan. Like, that game had no business being that good. Like, I still have fond memories of it. I had 2 neighborhood kids that lived up the street, and that was our jam the entire summer.
Really?
Not NBA Jam, but
yeah,
also played that too around that same time frame.
I remember playing that mostly. Okay, we're not going to talk about NBA Jam because I will go off on the ADHD tangents.
But seriously, if you like the side-scrolling beat-em-ups, check it out if you haven't played it. Like, it still holds up. So.
There was also Animaniacs for the Sega Genesis.
Animaniacs. I didn't play that one, unfortunately. I love the TV show, though.
There was Clay Fighter for the Super Nintendo.
That
Tournament edition specifically, I believe.
I played the crap out of. I actually did a tournament at the local Blockbuster back in the day.
You did it too?
Yeah.
I have a story about that. I also participated in the Blockbuster video game tournament. I was practicing for it, and we went on a camping trip, and we had a camper, and so we were out in the woods, and I was playing it on a tube TV, practicing, and then I got really sick, and I threw up everywhere, and I didn't want to tell anybody that I was sick, so I went and sat outside in the cold at 2 a.m. by myself in the woods vomiting.
So you clay fightered yourself?
Yeah, basically. Whatever that means.
I don't know. What's up next?
Guardian of War for CD-ROM looked kind of cool. It looked like kind of a turn-based sort of JRPG type thing, but it was more Western. From the little bit that I watched out of it, you were a warrior, and there was a mage walking behind him, and they were kind of walking along like a Mode 7 almost map.
Yeah.
And it reminded me a lot of the Highlight remake that came out in like 2010 or whatever. But it looked cool. I'd never seen or heard of it, so worth mentioning.
Yeah.
We also have Jurassic Park Interactive, which was a 3DO game. It was...
Guardian War was also 3DO as well.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was a 3DO game. You're right.
I have such a love-hate relationship with the 3DO. I got one way after the fact. After I remember... we used to have a Sears, like most people had, in our local mall. And back when I was a kid, Sears was the place to go to get games. Like, it legit was. Like, a lot of my Santa gifts came from that Sears. My mom would take me there, and because it's where my dad only, he had a credit card for there. And she was like, okay, let me know what Santa's going to bring you. And so I basically would pick out my stuff there. And one of my favorite things to do during this era, because you have to remember, you had like the Atari Jaguar, Super Nintendo, the 3DO, the Genesis. I mean, it was insane. And all of these were on display at the same time at that local Sears. Toys R Us as well, but we didn't have a credit card for there. So Sears it was. But yeah, so a lot of my early interest in, checking out 3DOs, I thought it was like amazing until I actually got one. I'm like, wow, I was dumb. This is like a piece of crap system. Had to daisy chain the controllers. At least the one I had, you had one single controller port, and if it was a 2-player game, there was an extra controller port on the back of your controller for player 2 to plug into. It was the worst setup I had seen to that point. So.
I remember AVGN's episode on some of the 3DO stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have any specific memories of, the 3DO, but the Sears thing unlocked some core memories.
I love Sears. We need to do an episode about that alone. I behind Corey over here, Lofter Scurry, I have some old Sears Christmas catalogs. We could even talk about those. I'm eyeballing one now from 1993.
That is wild.
I love stuff like that. Shout out to Dinosaur Dracula. He got me hooked into getting those off of eBay a few years ago.
And then to round out 1994 May, we have Outrunners, which was a Genesis Mode 7 driving game. There was Super Noah's Ark 3D came out in May of 1994, which is a Bible Doom clone.
So what did you shoot?
Animals with slingshot, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I was hoping the animals would come out of the gun.
No. No, there wasn't that. And then there was also this really dope-looking Alien vs. Predator arcade game that I'd never seen before, but it looked like something we need to play at some point.
I'm gonna have to track that down because I definitely have played Alien vs. Predator in other forms, like PC. Obviously, I know a lot of people played it there, and I guess it did make it to some of the home consoles, but nothing like what you linked.
Yeah, that was arcade only. I did a little bit of research, and if there's anything we missed that came out in May you want us to mention or talk about a little bit, be sure to leave a comment below, and we will discuss it. And we'll try to do this segment every month going forward. It won't fill the void that Now in the 90s left, but it's something I can do.
We'll pour one out for you.
Pour one out for old Jared. And as far as new games coming up this month, of course, there's more than we could possibly cover, but the ones that caught my eye specifically was V-Rising official launch on PC, which is...
Because that was in, like, what they call it on Steam. I got a brain for it.
Early access.
Yeah, early access. While. Yeah.
We have the multiplayer gaming night with my friends, and right now we're playing Legends of Grindia, I think it's called. But V-Rising was one we were playing at one point, and that was a very involved game. It kind of got boring for a while, just because the combat was so, like, meh, I guess. It was fun combat for a little while, and there was some weapon variety, but it felt like the weapons kind of started falling off, and you got stuck using, like, one or two different ones. And it was very tedious because it's a, kind of like a survival style game, but you always had to repair your stuff and continue base expansion, and it felt like one of those games where if you weren't playing it nonstop, you were never going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Even worse than something like Valheim's like that. So it was good. Then there's Homeworld 3, which shout outs to Ian. I know he was waiting for that one. I think he actually pre-ordered it. Yeah,
the older Homeworld's very, very fun. So I'm excited for this one too.
There's the Bridge Curse 2, which may not be something you have heard of or super interested in. If you are, there's some gameplay of it here on this channel because I played the Bridge Curse. And it was pretty good, actually. It's a Taiwanese horror game. It's kind of a walking simulator with some puzzles. It's not usually my style, but there was just something about it that called out to me. And the story was interesting. The lore was interesting. The beginning chase sequence scared the absolute hell out of me. Like, no lie. Like, I was uncomfortable for a while after that. And it kind of wasn't too bad from there on, but it was some pretty good stuff. A nice little boss fight at the end.
Nice.
About a 5 or 6 hour game. It was good. So I'm actually looking forward to Bridge Curse 2. It comes out this month.
Sounds good.
Paper Mario 1000 Year Door remake. Never played Paper Mario. I've never played any Paper Mario game.
Really?
Okay. I don't even. Yeah, because I don't know. Like,
a lot of people view the Paper Mario series as being the spiritual successor to Super Mario RPG,
along with the Mario and Luigi series too.
Right. Yeah.
Superstars or whatever it's called, but. I don't know. I'm so spoiled by Mario RPG that I never really felt like anything would fill that hole. And so when the Paper Mario series started coming out, I just ignored it. Number one, I didn't really have Nintendo consoles between Super Nintendo and Wii U, I think.
Oh, wow.
I didn't own a Nintendo 64 or anything. I think I borrowed my cousins to play Zelda and stuff. But other than that, yeah, I never owned a Nintendo system between SNES and the Wii U. So
got it.
There's System Shock remake coming out for consoles, which is...
That's basically just converting the recently released PC version, right?
Yeah, it's a port of that, which it's a remake of an old PS1 game or
Apple, actually.
Old Apple game.
Yeah.
It was on my list for a while, but never actually played it. There's one coming out called Chrono Arc. It's like a card game. I just wanted to mention it because I might try it out.
Not related to Cross and or Trigger.
Yeah, it's not related to Chrono Trigger or Chrono Cross. It's just called Chrono Arc. It's like an anime-looking card game. It's got really high ratings right now on Steam, so it's got my attention, so it should have yours too.
There you go.
Moving on from those, and again, if there's any games coming out this month that you're super hyped about, let us know in the comments. We'd love to know.
Absolutely.
In addition, so beyond that, talking about new stuff as well, the Akuma balance patch is this month, I believe.
Yep.
And Jamie's not super into Street Fighter, but as you probably know, I at least keep up with the fighting game community. I don't always play them, but
that's what kept us in Micro Center an extra probably 20-25 minutes last week.
Yeah.
Because they were streaming.
They were streaming Evo Japan. Evo, actual Evo's coming up soon.
Yeah.
So if you're not a big fighting game head, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but Akuma looks badass. The Raging Demon looks awesome. It's the first time
it is
really, yeah, but they've never shown this much of the Raging Demon before. It's cool. And there's also supposed to be a balance patch coming. Now there are reports of it being available in like a pre-release beta type thing, along with Akuma in Japan. Lots of buffs and debuffs again, or we're not going to go too deep into the fighting game stuff. I will just say that it looks like my main is only getting a single nerf. There's a general mechanics change that'll give Lily a buff, but they're actually like nerfing one of her best attacks by like 2 pixels or frames or something. I didn't really look too deep into it, but it's, anyways, yeah. So don't expect me to be jumping back on the Street Fighter 6 wagon unless they put some like big buffs on Lily, because or Akuma's fun. I'm gonna get Akuma and try him, but we'll see what happens with it. All right, so you want to talk about the patent thing?
Oh, Sony. I honestly don't know what to make of this, but Sony filed a patent for an auto-play feature. This also includes slow mode video games. Yeah, this is an interesting one because, like, technically autoplay, I've seen that very sparsely used, because I know that, I'm trying to think, I know Mario Maker had that to like at least a basic extent. So if you're trying to like play through a level and you're just getting annihilated, it would offer that up as a function. Nintendo did also toy with that with some of the other Mario games too. I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but one of them that came out on Switch about a couple years ago, you could actually go into like an autoplay mode, which my kids loved.
Really?
And so this would allow them to kind of see where to go, what to do, and that made them want to play it more.
Oh,
because they had a better understanding. So that's why I'm kind of for this, but what worries me is the fact that they're patenting it. So I don't know how that's going to impact like any other development houses or like say a Nintendo, for example, unless they can come to an agreement. But yeah, the opposing side of it, I know a lot of people, you know, the strong-headed, and I say that lovingly because I can be one of those too when it comes to retro games. You know, I grew up in the age of Nintendo hard. You know, oh, we're making the game so much easier for everybody. So there's that aspect of it too, which I get at the end of the day, but I choose to view this in a positive light, just strictly for it's helping grow the industry, right? Kind of going back to my story with my kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but that's pretty much all I had. And then the slow mode's cool too for similar reasons.
I do have something to add that actually. So my wife is not super good at video games. She's okay with like, she plays Disney's Dreamlight Valley and Animal Crossing. Like if it's nothing too intensive, she can do it. But I tried to play Mario Wonder with her, and half the time she was looking at the controller to find the jump button. And it's not something that's fixable. It's just how her brain works. Some people find video games difficult. So I think for people like them, especially, you know, she really liked the game Stray, but she kept getting stuck, and I'd have to get her unstuck, which is a great interaction. I love that interaction of being able to help her with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if she could, you know, press a button and have an AI help her get past the part she's having difficulty with, then she could play through and enjoy some games that she otherwise wouldn't be. Like, just a random example is Kingdom Hearts. She loved the concept of Kingdom Hearts. She wanted to play it, but it was just too much for her. But if she could, you know, hit a button and basically watch it like a movie, which I guess is what a Let's Play is, but you're kind of at somebody else's mercy at that point.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think it'd be good. Especially if it can do grinding for me in RPGs. It'd be great.
He likes the grind.
I don't. This is my least. It's literally my least favorite thing. I have beaten so many RPGs like way under level par because I refuse to grind. I beat not recently, but a couple of years ago, I played the Dragon Quest VIII, and I think par level for the final boss is like 64, and I was 52 or something.
Oh wow!
Like I was using all of the buffs and debuffs and items, but I got through it. I just got this random thing that popped up one day. So a lot of you guys, and this is gaming related because she played games. Belle Delphine, the Bathwater girl. She
More power to her. She found a way to, generate a revenue stream. So
Yep.
that's all I'm going to say about it.
If I thought people would pay,
I'm all for people like making money at the end of the day. So.
If I thought you guys would buy my Bathwater for $200, I'd be filling the cups up. Bet.
It's kind of salty.
A little bit. It's kind of meaty right now.
Ugh.
But anyway, she apparently has teamed up with Ghost Keyboards, and the reason I'm talking about this is it's kind of funny in a weird way, because she's managed to not only figure out how to sell her Bathwater again, but she did it as a lottery. They're selling these keyboard caps that you can get that have Bathwater in them. And some of them apparently will have her Bathwater in them, but you won't know until you open it. So it's almost like a gachapon. It's the most random thing, but it's so funny. But yeah, I mean, if you want something like that, head on over to Ghost Keyboards and roll the dice, baby.
Have fun with that.
Smash Brothers turns 25.
That's wild. Like, I remember the day that came out. Reading Nintendo Powers back in the day, also Electronic Gaming Monthly. Just the hype for it, and it was weird for me because the first one, like, I had a love-hate relationship with it because I did not care for the controls at first. It was one of those that, like, I had to, like, completely reprogram my brain, like, how to play that game versus, like, because if you think about the other stuff that came out before it, because this is in the early days of 3D fighters as well. So, like, getting used to, like, playing those, and then, you still had your Street Fighters that were 2D up to that point.
Yeah.
And then playing that, like, I just felt so lost, and I actually, like, stepped away from it for years. Did come back to the Smash Brothers series. Trying to think. I dabbled with the GameCube version, but it wasn't until Wii. That's when I finally fell in love with the Smash Brothers series. But anyway, all that being said, I know the latest version was on the Switch. Ultimate Edition had like a bajillion characters. Who's your favorite character?
So I never got to play the 64 version much. Our high school actually had a Nintendo 64 set up in the cafeteria. And a lot of times you would try to play it, and either people would be playing Pokemon Battle Coliseum.
Yes, that's true.
Or they'd be playing the N64 Battle Ogre game, whatever it was called. And then occasionally there'd be Smash games going on in there. But again, I never really got to play it a whole lot. I know this is going to come as a shock, but I wasn't super popular in high school. So I didn't get to play video games with the cool kids when the cool kids were actually playing video games, which, by the way, screw you guys. I'm cool now. I have a show. Where's your show? You probably have a show.
Where are they now?
I don't know. You think I went to my high school reunion? I don't even think I was invited.
I didn't even get an email or anything about it.
So, but as far as like who I play in Smash, I'm pretty much a hard Bowser main and a hard Zelda main.
You said hard.
I did say hard. I said twice, in fact. I said hard Bowser.
He's twice as hard. My favorite, Little Mac.
Of course.
I cosplayed as him. I can't even talk. And he's just a lot of fun. Like, really, he's such a troll character. That's my favorite aspect of him. I like him, and I mean Kirby was awesome too. There's another good one. In the later, or I guess it was the latest version, the Animal Crossing character was a lot of fun too.
Yep.
Villager, like
Villager. I like the other one, the girl character.
Oh shoot.
I don't remember her name, but she had a fishing rod. It was hilarious.
Yes, that one's good too.
You could grab people and throw them.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bowser and Zelda for me. I like fireball spamming with Zelda.
Was good, yeah.
And I like just being Bowser and bowsing around.
Zelda's the boy in Legend of Zelda, right?
Yes, that's the one.
All right.
Not one.
Direct your hate mail to him.
Not one of the 5 links that are in that game. I'll let you handle the next one. BlizzCon canceled this year.
Yeah, so love-hate relationship yet again. That seems to be the theme of the episode. Grew up playing, all the classics that Blizzard brought to us over the years. I know there was some controversy with Diablo 4 and how they handled Diablo Mobile, which that got a little bit better over time. But that's
you don't have a cell phone?
Exactly. Just a oversized one here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. Like, this was kind of a surprise. Like, I don't know if they really gave like an official reason other than that, there's retooling. It kind of reminded me of when E3 was officially announced to being canceled as well.
It just says here the timing doesn't line up for one single event at the end of the year.
Yeah, so it's like a very like murky gray area response. Reminded me of how E3 finally went under. I think a lot of it, like they're still dealing with a lot of controversy with some inner turmoil with how they handled like some of the layoffs, and
Overwatch 2,
Overwatch 2 was interesting. There's just so
Diablo
much there.
4.
And I had a couple friends that worked for Blizzard up into that the layoff period, so not a good situation. So I think they're probably just wanting to take a chill pill for a year or two and
Yeah.
then reset. So
They need to, because like ever since Overwatch season 3 or season 4 or something like that, like
mhm.
Blizzard's just been downhill constantly. There's always a controversy or another controversy or just bad games.
Yeah.
Like World of Warcraft we talked about last week, just kind of going downhill because it's not new player friendly. Diablo 4's launch, I swore I was not going to buy any more Blizzard games. And then Diablo 4 came out, and I let the news media stuff get me hyped up. For I was like, you know what, this would
Right.
be fun to play with friends. We played it for 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and I was like, I can't do this. This is the most boring thing ever. And it's better
not
now,
that
I guess.
it's
But
not that the gameplay was bad. It's just it was such a rehash of the third one for me. Interesting side note. I didn't put this in our notes for this week, but Diablo 4 did come to Xbox Game Pass, and it's currently like I think #1. Like people are just downloading it crazy. But if you look at it from the aspect that they're getting to play it at the whatever the monthly cost of that is now, I get it
yeah,
because like my first couple playthroughs, I enjoyed it, but it didn't have that same like hook that Diablo 2. I still always go back to that one occasionally. That had being able to go in and just the way the battle mechanics worked, and I know a lot of that comes back to nostalgia as well, but it just felt like that had more meat to it to me. So
and see, I've never really cared much for those kind of. They call them ARPGs, but it's not that. An ARPG for me is like Final Fantasy 16. Diablo's like its own thing. Like I would almost call games like Diablo likes, like Torchlight and stuff. It's just its
some
own
people do,
genre.
yeah.
But I don't like that genre. I don't like it like, 40 enemies run at me and then I use the same ability that I've used against the last 40 enemy wave and everything just kind of crumbles and dies, or I die. And
Necromancer with teeth.
yeah, I did that. I was a necromancer with teeth in Diablo 2 and I just had a whole circle of teeth. But yeah, it's never been my cup of tea, and
That's
I let gaming journalists sell me on 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, and then I bought it. I was like, this is not good.
whole circle of teeth. That would be a good setup for a Japanese horror film or
Also,
video game.
just be a good name for a metal band.
Full circle of teeth. Anyway,
But yeah, the last thing I'll say about the Blizzard thing is, or Diablo thing is, it seems to have gotten better. All the stuff I've heard recently actually sounds kind of appealing. I'm not going to fall for it again, although I already own the game, so I guess it's not falling for anything. But there's also $40 mounts, so that's something to think about as well.
and right before we were set to start recording this, I also read it was I can't remember the gentleman's name, but former CEO of Blizzard. He kind of jumped on a bandwagon where some other CEOs were talking about how they wanted to try to come up with a tipping system. So if you enjoy a game, you can provide an extra tip to the developers.
I'm gonna throw my tablet at that man if I ever see him.
I'm just gonna leave that as is. But I thought I would throw that in there. So, but yeah, old school Blizzard, love it. Modern Blizzard, like I haven't fully written them off, but yeah, they do better. I'll just leave it at that. What's next?
Palworld. I know you didn't play it.
No.
Me and some of my friends played it for a long time. We didn't quote unquote beat it. We got pretty far, but just kind of got burned out on it, I guess, because there were 4 of us, and then there were 3 of us, and then there were 2 of us, and then there was just 2 of us for a while. So we never got like the combo server. We were gonna like have a big 32-person server, but we couldn't get the form to go through, so we ended up playing on a 4-man server, and that's a big world to cover with 4 men.
Yeah.
Well, and women, because Shay was there. But there's apparently 4 new pals coming out, and they look super cool. One of them's like a kung fu frog. One of them's like definitely a rip-off of one of the new Pokemon. There's like a rabbit monk thing, and then it looks like another version of the sleepy, lazy blue dinosaur thing that's in the game.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of negative press, I guess, around Palworld recently because gaming journalists are like, oh, the player count's fallen to 90 from 90, by 92%. No one's playing anymore. Maybe it wasn't that. Look, it wasn't meant to be a permanent game. It's a survival game. You survive, you win, you move on.
Right.
Not. I think there's probably more people than not that will play a game once or twice and move on. it's so rare to find somebody who wants to, play the same game 1,000 times.
Yeah, you'll have a few hardcore, fans
Oh,
here or there
totally.
for pretty much any series, but yeah, beyond that, that's difficult.
My friend Alex, who streams over on Twitch, he plays nothing. I mean, I think he's played the original NES TMNT. Like,
Part 1?
yeah, he
Whew.
plays it nonstop. He's actually a speedrunner for it.
Okay.
So he's really good at it, and I've watched him play, but it's just like I can't do that. I've played TMNT 1. I beat TMNT 1. I'm done with it. Like, I know what it is. I can always go watch a Let's Play if I want to see it again. You know what I mean?
Did not beat that until I was like well into my 30s, and even then, that was a challenge.
I didn't beat it when I was a kid, but when I was 6 or 7, I did get to the Technodrome, but it was just
nice.
too confusing for me to get through it as a
Yeah.
kid without a guide.
It reminds me of Battletoads as well. That was another one absolutely loved as a kid. Was terrible at as a kid. Didn't beat it. That one I think I beat like in my mid-20s, but it's just funny how like you can go back to games like that and look at them from a different point of view. It's like, oh, now I figured out how to do this one part that made me want to break my controller when I was a kid.
Yup. Other than those 4 monsters coming in, I don't really see any more or new pals coming in.
Yeah.
They're also doing the raids and stuff. It's one of those things where, like, maybe in a year you can go back to Palworld and be like, "Hey, this is dope again." But I would say
That's probably when I'll play it for the first time.
Yeah,
when it's
we
on
can
sale
all
for
start a
dirt
server
cheap.
and do it. It'll be awesome.
I'm the worst about waiting for stuff to go on Steam sale.
You
and
don't really
picking it
play
up
new
then.
stuff anyways very much.
Yeah,
You?
for that reason.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a major franchise that I care about, like Legend of Zelda or whatever.
Yep. Tears of the Kingdom was awesome.
Yeah.
And then there's the thing on here that you put about Final Fantasy maker SquareEnix takes a 140 million hit or $140 million hit in content abandonment losses as it revises its game pipeline. I've seen a lot of I've seen people talking about this, and it's like Square's going down. Square's over. They canceled a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And they're reorganizing because their last few games, while I personally think they were great, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was easily a 9 out of 10 game, almost 10 out of 10 except for the ending. Like the last 4 to 6 hours was a little rough. And I liked Final Fantasy 16, and the Final Fantasy 16 DLC is good to me. It's they've had some stinkers for sure, but I don't think this is some sign that they're dying. I think they're just
it's a restructuring.
trying to get back to the good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
they've kind of, had a few black eye incidents here lately with some of their stuff, and kudos to them. They're trying to right the ship. So I think it makes sense because if you think about it, we have Kingdom Hearts 4 that will come out eventually, and shout out to my brother-in-law, like he's a massive Kingdom Hearts fan. Dragon Quest, what's that?
I used to be.
Yeah, Dragon Quest 12. I mean, that's one of the series that I buy day one. I know I just mentioned Legend of Zelda, but that's right up there for me as well. So I say we just give them some time, just kind of take a step back and just see what happens. I don't think they'll go full Konami on us like Konami did for a long time, which it seems like we talked about last week. They're kind of working on some stuff now too. So
Yeah, they're cooking.
maybe it's similar to that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm obviously a huge SquareEnix fan. I've been waiting for anything for Dragon Quest 12. They gave us like a title screen 4 years ago, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, and then that's what was it, the Dragon Quest like building type games that came out to kind of just give you a band-aid too. I didn't play that, so was that like similar to like Minecraft or like I have no idea. Did you play those?
The builders games?
Yeah.
They're like
It had like a Minecraft look and feel to it, and like nothing against Minecraft. My kids love it. I dabbled with it, but that's not my normal jam.
They are RPG light games. They are very Minecraft like in terms of like being blocky for the building stuff, but the
Right.
characters and stuff are anime, like very anime-ish, like normal Dragon Quest characters.
Got it. Let's
I-
wait for them to go on sale.
Yeah. Well, the one cool thing, I don't know much about Builders 1, but I know Builders 2 is actually a prequel / like alternate universe to the original Dragon Warrior.
Got it. Okay.
It takes place before even Edric, I think. It's kind of like, or maybe it takes place between Edric and then Dragon Quest 1, where I think you're the bad guy. Like I don't remember. I don't remember. I just remember it was a prequel to one of the games, and you kind of played the villain, but like it was an alternate timeline where you weren't a bad guy.
Oh, got it.
And they're fun little action games. They're not bad.
Yeah.
But Minecraft. I wouldn't quite call it Minecraft. Well, yeah, you do a lot of digging and you hit like hard walls. And you upgrade your building. So yeah, I guess it's very Minecrafty. You can like the city buildings on it's really fun. I remember having minecarts going everywhere. So like I could go from point A to point B, and I would just jump on my little train and zoosh.
Got it. I can't put
According
a
to Dust
zero here.
Golem, Resident Evil 9's development is on track, and fans will not have to wait long for the next installment, as early as 2025 release date planned, following a lengthy 7-year development cycle.
What does that mean?
Resident Evil 9! Okay.
Yes! That's the point.
I love Resident Evil. If you're on my channel, you may have seen this, but if you haven't, I have a Resident Evil Village tattoo. I love Resident Evil. I have the Resident. I don't drink G Fuel, but I do have the Resident Evil 4 G Fuel canister. Resident Evil 4 Remake was amazing. I love Resident Evil 8. I love Resident Evil 7. I love the DLCs. And I'm very excited about the prospect of Resident Evil 9 because, man, the story's getting good again.
Yeah.
They figured out that Resident Evil doesn't have to be about zombies. They're like, we've done some weird stuff with these viruses, and now we can just go into whatever genre we want.
Now it's COVID.
The Resident Evil 9 is just us sitting in our bedroom.
They should release a quarantine edition. That would be amazing.
It's like the beginning of Resident
How
Evil.
did that not happen? All these different video games that talk about viruses and shit, and no one had a quarantine edition.
Nope.
That's money on the table right there.
Although there was a Resident Evil quarantine at one point, I believe. Not during COVID, but
yeah.
Um,
timelines couldn't match up, unfortunately.
So
I want to know if they're going to re-release the chainsaw controller. Did you ever have one of those or seen that?
I did not.
So I'll let him insert a picture of it here, but I believe it was the GameCube when Resident Evil 4 came out. If I remember correctly, they had a chainsaw controller that had the GameCube buttons on it.
That's cool. That is cool.
I was jealous. I always wanted one, but I was poor when it was out.
So if you haven't played any of the recent Resident Evils, have you?
The last one I played was 7, I believe.
Okay,
so I'm a little behind.
You're one behind,
yeah.
And then the DLC from 8.
Yeah.
So in 7, so 6 is hard to get into, and it's not really that big of a deal. But in 6, they started messing around, and there was a boss fight where you basically, the final boss, in fact, was literally Beelzebub, like the fly demon.
Yeah.
This dude.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert for like a billion-year-old
Sorry.
game that nobody liked, by the way. I love Resident Evil 6, but there was that. Like one of the guys mutated into Beelzebub on top of a building, and before that, he actually mutated into Cerberus. So they were starting to throw those kind of things in there.
Got it. Yeah.
And then Resident Evil 7, they made it. There was the cannibal, the redneck cannibal like storyline thing. And then you went in and there was like this visceral like insect area. And then you went into the almost like Saw-esque warehouse or whatever where the son hung out and had to do all these like torture games and stuff. And then lastly, you had to go through the mines and fight some monsters, and then you came out on top and you had to deal with the little girl. But there was also like elements of there being a ghost in a lot of it. So I mean, it had a little bit of everything. And then Resident Evil 8 Village comes out, which is 8. And the first area is like werewolves and stuff, and you go in the castle, and now there's vampires, and you leave the castle and you go into the creepy dollhouse that's like haunted, and there's like a little ghost girl running around, a doll running around, and giant baby attacks you, and then you leave out of there, and the swamp monster scenario, and then you leave out of there, and it's like this metalcore, like this dude's basically like Magneto. And it's very machine based, and like all these machine zombies and stuff coming at you. And then lastly, you have to go fight the final boss or whatever, who's kind of like almost like a shadow demon, sort of. Like it had everything, and that's what they're doing. And so they're basically breaking Resident Evil down into like multiple horror tropes per part. And I love it because zombies are boring. Ain't nobody afraid of. Why is Leon Kennedy afraid of a zombie? I'll tell you why. I have a clip on my channel right now where I run up behind a zombie and I get it in a headlock, and then I do a jumping butt slam and crush its skull in my armpit. Nobody gives a damn about vampires anymore.
I'll take that.
Or sorry, zombies. But
personal.
I love Resident Evil. I love the direction they're going. A lot of people are complaining about it. I think it's wonderful.
If you could have a dream collaboration between Resident Evil and what would that be? That's a fun topic. So
Resident
anyone
Evil,
else who wants to chime in on that?
a Resident Evil collab?
Yes. So if you could have like Resident Evil and I don't know. I'm already going into a weird place. Resident Evil and Animal Crossing. Or Resident Evil.
Number one, there's already there's already Animal Crossing and Doom.
I know. That saved my quarantine, by the way. So much love to both of those. Oh my god. Sorry. Fun fact about that. So the day that I pre-ordered Animal Crossing with my family, we ended up getting extra Nintendo Switch systems because all members of my family wanted to play Animal Crossing. And if you are a fan or aware or tinkered with it, the save system is atrocious for Animal Crossing. So to make it easier on everyone to not have to share a Switch system, we bought individual Switch systems, pre-ordered that game 4 times, and then also Doom Eternal for myself.
Okay.
So looks like you got something.
Okay. It's not actually like a crossover per se, but it's a genre crossover. A Resident Evil Pokemon game.
Interesting.
Where instead of collecting Pokemon or cute monsters, you're collecting like vampires and zombies and all that stuff.
The zombies that you hate, though.
And you have to like battle them together. So like, I just invented Shin Megami Tensei.
What would you store these creatures in?
You know what? All I did was create Shin Megami Tensei, and there's multiple ways to do that. They do it sometimes with a bracelet, sometimes you can just summon them, sometimes a cell phone app. So yeah, never mind. That'd be a cool collab, but it already exists, even though it's not a collab. Although you could just replace it and have like Leon Kennedy, and he put him in a cyber world. Put him in a cyber world. There hasn't been a cyber part.
Resident Evil in space.
My brain's cooking.
Just like Friday the 13th.
I'm sitting there staring at your Freddy doll,
Jason
thinking
X.
the same thing. Yeah. All right. Anyways,
that's a great movie, by the way.
I'm sure it's
so
not.
Come on, he's in space. What's wrong with space?
Yeah, you're right.
Besides, space whales.
Space.
So there was a lot of stuff that went down in Marvel Snap this week. So I'll just kind of lightly gloss over it, and then if you want to like touch on anything in depth. So Tuesday, there was the patch update. So typically when those take place, if you don't play Snap, just like any major video game release, you're going to have your data miners. So there was a lot of cards that were discovered that's going to be coming up in future seasons. So that was exciting. And then we had the new card come out this week. I know I don't even have it yet.
Victoria, right?
Is that who it is?
Valentine? Maybe?
Yeah. Crap.
Maybe it's Victoria Valentine. I don't know.
I have a brain fart. I'm going to pull it up now. But yeah, so I haven't unlocked that yet. So I haven't done much with her. I'm still playing with White Widow and, crafting a few different decks. I kind of have an FU deck, as I call it, which worked well against Corey before we started recording. We did a friendly battle. It was so bad because
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
If you're familiar with friendly battle, like you start with like a number of cubes, and so we both double snaps, so it became an 8-cube game immediately. And so that was the only battle he won. I ended up doing a comeback and won like multiple 2-cube battles.
He's been playing for 2 years straight.
Yeah,
I've been playing for a month and a half.
Well, you played it for a little bit before.
Yeah, but I'm missing all those cards though.
Right. Yeah. So I'm willing to give you that, but it was funny. But anyway, you had it in your deck. I thought it looked interesting. Yeah, so I need to get that card, and that is called Valentina. Is the name. So I just want to make sure we got that right.
I was close. Victoria Valentina.
So right before we were due to start recording, the season preview for the next month has already been released. I say next month, it's really May.
Yeah.
I'm not playing.
Okay. Well,
I have Snap pulled up. So
we're actually going to do like an individual Snap episode, so we're not going to go. I don't even know if this will make it into the episode. We'll see.
I'd say we leave it for now because we're only a little over 30 minutes.
Well,
so what we'll do?
Something else to talk about that I'm very excited to speak of, and you'll know why in a moment.
What is it, sir? I can complain about totally unrelated to video games, but how the television industry works right now, because I'm super upset at the moment. I'm going to go on a rant for 2 seconds, and I'll shut up about it, and then I'll let you finish getting set up. So if you are, this isn't exclusive just to Atlanta Braves, but like multiple, not only MLB teams, but NBA and NHL. If you're not familiar with the term RSN, that's Regional Sports Network, The biggest regional sport network company is Bally Sports. They're in the middle of a dispute with Comcast/Xfinity. They've been in a dispute with Dish Network for like 2 or 3 years now, so they haven't had the channel that long. So Comcast/Xfinity, you can call it whatever you want. They just lost access. Or Bally Sports is no longer airing on Comcast/Xfinity. So I am ready to pee on the grave of the terrestrial, television environment for this reason. So the Braves exclusively, talking about them for a second because that's my team. Their contract will be over at the end of the season, so I'm hoping we would go to a streaming only solution. Like you can put it on whatever TV channel. I'm done with TV, but that's all I have to say about that. So that's my side rant for the week.
Thanks for hanging out and watching. If you have any news bits you want to throw in for us to talk about next week, etc., and like I said before, if you have any gaming stuff from the month of May '94 you want to talk about, or you want to touch on like an upcoming game you're excited about that we didn't cover here, throw it in the comments, and we'll try to cover it next episode. I will say maybe we'll start reading comments in the next episode. The only comment that I think we have from the first episode is my friend Shin saying that we should put the the sources in the description, which I did. So
Cool.
we'll be doing that for this one. And yeah, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, of course, likes, comments, subscription, all that good stuff helps out a bunch. This is on Spotify as well if you want to listen to it while you're driving rather than watch it. And I think we will probably see you in the next one.
Seacrest out.
Well, I mean, that's not much better than my outro. Deuces, dummies.
Come on, let's go watch Lemon Party.
No.